Hey, spa owner, welcome back to this podcast. I'm so glad that you are joining me today because this episode's going to be pretty different. I am going to be talking about a rebrand that I personally am making on this podcast. So, if you've been listening from the very, very beginning, I put my first episode out on April 3rd. The only reason why I know this is because the next day I had my son, my second son. And I thought that was like kind of divine timing because I had batch created all of these to go up 4 months straight so that I knew that it would, we would constantly have content. And so April 3rd, 2025 is when I started this podcast. And when I first started it, the first episode was how to get the most out of this episode or this podcast. And that episode, I talked about how I could not for the life of me come up with a name for this podcast. And something that I said all the time in my spa is that I want my spa to be bougie and boring. And that's kind of the guideline that I would always talk about whenever I was making a decision in my business. Is this bougie? Is this boring? I want it to be luxury, high-end, effortless, and I want it to be really simple. And so I ended up creating a podcast that was called that. I thought it would be funny and silly, and I liked it. It kind of rolled off the tongue for me, and so that's what it ended up being. And for a year and some change, that's what I called this podcast. And so much has changed. I have been able to serve so many incredible clients and coach so many spa owners in how to hire their first esthetician, how to go through employee resets, and how to hire, how to fire, how to do all these incredible things. And I feel like Bougie and Boring doesn't fully encompass exactly what it is that I help spa owners do here. And so because of that, something that just naturally came up for me that I felt like was more in alignment with what we're actually doing here on this podcast. And because of that, I am going to be rebranding this podcast into the SPA Business Podcast. SPA obviously spells out spa, but SPA stands for strategy, profit, and automation. And I want to break down each one of those things because I think it's really important that we have each one of those things in our spa in order to have a successful business. These are three things that I just absolutely live and breathe by. And I know that I can stand behind them 100%. They represent everything that I feel like I would talk about not only on this podcast, but with a coaching client. And so I just want to dig in a little bit deeper with you today to explain it and then to also let you know what's going to happen to Bougie and Boring. Where is it going to go? So to address that really quick, the show, the Bougie and Boring podcast, it's actually not going anywhere. All I'm doing is changing the name of the podcast and the artwork to reflect that, but all past episodes are going to be remaining exactly the same. You're going to listen to them. It's going to start off by saying, you're listening to the Bougie and Boring Business Podcast, blah, 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 all the things. All of the episodes are still going to remain up and everything is going to stay like as a blog post on our website. Everything's the same. And nothing is changing in that regard. So practically speaking, what you need to know is that the name Bougie and Boring was kind of a wink to this like creative, magical work that we do in the treatment rooms, right? It comes with a little bit of structure, which is the boring stuff, but it also comes with that luxurious, fun part that comes with working with clients and our team and all the fun parts of the spa, right? And yes, we create luxurious experiences. And yes, we also, on the back end of that, create something that's intentionally boring. They're repeatable systems and it's predictable revenue. And so because of that, my philosophy has kind of changed a little bit. And that philosophy, it's not going anywhere. It's still here. It's just kind of packaged a little bit differently because the show grew, I grew, you grew, and the conversations that I've been having, they're getting bigger and they're just getting more intentional. So we started talking about, profitability and team leadership and hiring and pricing and client retention and team performance, all the full scopes of running a spa business. And somewhere along the way, the name Bougie and Boring started to kind of feel small for everything that we were actually covering. So I would talk to spa owners who haven't found this show yet, and when I told them the name Bougie and Boring, there was always this moment of kind of like I could see the wheel turning in their head of like, what is that? And I could just see it on their face, like, wait, what is that about? And then I'd have to explain it, and then they'd say, oh my gosh, that is so cute, I need that. Listen, with peace and love, I don't want someone to tell me that my business is cute. I want someone to be like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? I want them to be like, I need that, tell me how you did that. And the name alone wasn't doing that initial, heavy lifting of that work. And so it just wasn't immediately telling the right people that this show was for them. And that really matters because we want to be able to get the word out as much as possible to as many spa owners as possible so that we can lift this industry up, because there is just so much that can come from this incredible, incredible industry, right? So there are 3 things that I personally believe every spa owner needs in order to build a very good spa business, something that is profitable, sustainable, and actually enjoyable to run, right? That's something that I actually used to say in the intro of the Bougie and Boring podcast. And this is kind of when it clicked for me. So I was like, I just want a spa business podcast. And it's funny because I was actually talking to Claude, which is an AI, it's an LLM, it's an AI system. And I was like, I just wish that I could have a spa business podcast and it actually truly encompassed what I did. And I was like coming up with this thing, and I just like, I was able to actually realize like, oh my gosh, I actually do have a spa business podcast, an SPA business podcast. So yes, it's so awesome that it spells out SPA. That is wonderful because this is a spa podcast. That part is pretty straightforward. But what I love about it and what I want you to hear is that SPA is not just a name. It's an acronym, and every letter stands for something that really matters deeply for a spa business. So S stands for strategy, because every successful spa business starts with intention, with a plan, with knowing exactly where you're going and how you're going to get there. And the strategy is what separates the spa owner who's reacting to everything that's happening in the business to a spa owner that is leading and is intentional and knows where they're going and can say no to things because they know their plan, they know their strategy. And that's what we're going to talk about here. I want to talk about a spa and owning a spa business like you're the CEO, like you are the owner and not just an operator, right? And P stands for profit. This is something that I feel like when you're first starting out, you don't really care about. And I say this with so much peace and love. Just know that I hear this so often, not just from this industry, but for other industries. I was talking to a good family friend, and he was like, yeah, I just started this new business. Me and my buddy, we're starting to do this new business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. He shared how much he was doing in revenue. And my answer was, okay, and how much are you doing in profit? And he said, oh, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter right now because we're just starting off. And I'm like, you're not just starting off. You're 3 years into this. So this is not new. Maybe I could understand like 3, 6, 9 months in, but you're 3 years into this and you're not making a profit. That's not a business, that's a hobby. And so a P stands for profit because you have to pay yourself. You have to. You are working your little tushy off, and that needs to be paid for. So we're not focused on revenue. We're focused on profit because that's the whole point. That is the whole point. It's what you pay yourself. It's how you're able to reinvest into your business. It's how you build something that will last and withstand hard times. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens with strategy, like we talked about, and it happens by having intentional financial budgeting and understanding of every single in and out of your business. So that's another part that this show is about and that I'm going to be going deeper into. And then finally, the A stands for automation. Now, this is one thing I have been saying since the day that I hired employees. Something I knew is that it is not ideal for an esthetician or even a massage therapist if you have hired a massage therapist. Well, I would say especially an LMT, but specifically talking about estheticians. So I was working 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. And I was bringing in the revenue, but there was no profit to be had. It was like barely anything, and I didn't know how to pay myself. And it felt like I was just running on this hamster wheel of constantly trying to make another dollar so that I could just keep money in the bank, because so much was going out and I didn't understand why. And once I got my numbers under control and I focused on profit, then I knew that when I hired, I wanted to be able to pay my team well. And in order to pay my team well, I knew that part of what I did as the owner needed to be automated. This is way before AI came out. This was like in 2018, 2019. And I knew that the max amount of time I wanted my estheticians to work was 30 hours a week, because I needed to protect their energy. And if I wanted to pay them like they were working 40 hours a week, then that other 10 hours, right? Because if I'm only going to let them work 30, but I want to pay them like they're working 40, then that extra 10 hours needed to be handled by some form of technology. I knew that I needed to create some type of automated, and that's where the boring part of Bougie and Boring came into play, right? And this automation part is what the boring from Bougie and Boring is. So obviously with AI, it is way faster. And I'm able to do way more automated things than ever before. And I just feel like it's time. I feel like now it is time for me to really start stepping into this. I will tell you, in no way, shape, or form am I going to be someone who comes onto this podcast and tell you how to use AI. I might give you a prompt or two, but for the most part, the automation part of this is going to be talking about things like you need to be batch scheduling your social media posts. You need to have ManyChat funnels, and you need to have email funnels. It all needs to be running in the background while you're sleeping. You need to have an online booking software. You cannot have paper books anymore. This is 2026. Like, we are not in that age. We're not in that time anymore. So in order to create a business that works for you instead of you working for it, you have to have some form of automation, whether that is in the form of AI, whether that is in using many chat sequences or Lindy automations, or maybe you use some type of scheduling software, and that is how you're able to schedule your things. But either way, that's the kind of stuff that I want to go into, because it's going to make your life so much easier. It's going to make things so boring for you, and that's what I want. I still want you to have a boring business, but the SPA Business Podcast is going to be so much more, it's going to go so much deeper than what we were able to do with Bougie and Boring. So that is what this show has pretty much always been about, but we have finally come up with a name that I feel like truly represents what it is, and now I'm saying it out loud from a mountaintop. Practically speaking, that's pretty much everything that you need to know. Like I mentioned, all the past episodes are all going to be staying up. You're not losing anything. If you have a favorite episode, you're more than welcome to continue to share it with a friend or keep it bookmarked. Do whatever you want with it, because it's still there. It's not going anywhere. The feed is exactly the same. You're still subscribed, all the things, right? You don't need to resubscribe or go hunting for any new thing. It's completely the same, completely seamless. It's automated on your part, so you don't need to worry about it. So if you follow me on social media, I'm at Spa coach, and all the links are being updated to reflect that. So you're not going to miss a beat, and it's all going to be seamless. So if you've been listening from the very beginning, thank you so much, genuinely from the bottom of my heart. This is something that I love so much, and I'm so passionate about it, and I love helping people from the bottom of my heart. I would do this for free. I would. I can't, but I do love what I do so much that I would do it for free. And I think that just is something that makes it so much easier to be able to do even on the hard days. You've helped me build this thing, and you are the brand. So it is, this is all about helping you, spa owner. And if you're brand new here, if you're hearing this for the very first time, welcome. You have found us at exactly the right time. It is such a good space to be in, and I'm so excited that you're here. Okay, let's bring it home. Here's what I want you to walk away with today. The first thing, Bougie and Boring is now becoming the SPA Business Podcast. It's the same show, same host, same philosophy. The name just finally fits the philosophy that I have had. And SPA stands for strategy, profit, automation. Those are the 3 pillars that are going to be the foundation for everything that I teach and build and share with you along the way. Nothing is being lost. And if you can take anything away, it's that it's always okay to rebrand, to pivot, to change, to go deeper with what you already have, make it something better. If it feels like it's meant to be, if you can't see anything other than that new brand or that new version of something, I want to encourage you to take that step into that new version of whatever it is you're doing, because it is so worth it. And listen, the fun part is creating the visuals and creating the scripts and the creatives and all those things. But the hard part is, just actually doing it and making the transition. And building this podcast has been one of the most meaningful things that I have been able to do in this industry, getting to show up every single week and talk about the real spa stuff, the money, the teams, the systems, the hard decisions. It matters to me so, so much. And knowing that it's helping other spa owners like you to actually build a better business that will provide for your family and for your community, that right there is my purpose. I am so convinced that my purpose in this world is to, 1, raise good humans, and 2, help other people to have a successful, profitable business so that you can raise good humans. I don't know. This isn't a podcast about being a mom. That's not the point I'm trying to make. You don't need to have littles in order to give to your community. As women, we're more likely to contribute to our community, whether that's in our time, our money. We are just so giving. I've said this before in a podcast. Women are givers. We give birth. We give our breast milk if we choose to. We are caregivers. We give advice. Women are just givers. And that's something I want to pour into. And I want to pour into it in the right way. And spa is the way. That's the way that I feel most called to do it. And I'm most passionate about it. And it feels so right and so good. And this is just what I meant to do. And I feel so strongly about that because I know it's going to help communities, not just my own. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing episodes and leaving reviews and sending me messages about how you needed this today. You have no idea how much it means to me. So welcome to the SBA Business Podcast, and I will see you on next week's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, then you'll really enjoy my free training where I show you the exact system I use in my own spa to pay myself more. Head on over to amandaluisaconsulting.com/more to download today. I'll see you next week on the SBA Business Podcast.